Welcome to day 36 on the trail. We have 5 readings for today from Luke 20 verses 1 through 26, Exodus 6:28 through 7:25, Job 10 verses 1 through 22, the 46th Psalm, and Sirach chapter 41 verses 1 through 14. In Exodus 7, we find the beginning of the 10 plagues of Egypt. It is important to note that these plagues are set up in 3 sets of 3. So we find the first set of 3 plagues, followed by a set of 3 more plagues, followed by 3 additional plagues, and then 1 at the end. We will see this format of 3 plus 1 used in other places in the Hebrew Bible or Old Testament. So it is good to make note of it here. So how are these groups of 3 plagues set apart from each other? First, plagues 1, 4, and 7 are announced to Pharaoh in the morning. This is the first way that the sets are identified. Second, plagues 2, 5, and 8 are announced in the palace with a warning. Then plagues 3, 6, and 9 occur without a warning. The 10th plague, the death of the firstborn of Egypt, is expanded to include the events of the first Passover. Now there is another way that these sets of 3 are grouped together. The first set, plagues 1 through 3, involve the use of Aaron's staff. In plagues 4 through 6, a distinction is made between the Israelites and the Egyptians. Finally, in plagues 7 through 9, Moses stretches out his hand instead of using his staff. Now, in addition to these groupings of 3, there's another literary device that we'll see throughout the Bible that's worth mentioning, and that is the use of increasing intensity. For example, the plagues increase in intensity from environmental nuisances to complete economic destruction and eventually death itself. Now, another reason that I am pointing this out today is because the same structure, 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 1, is found in the New Testament in Matthew chapters 8 and 9. There, the author of Matthew is using the same structure to connect the works and wonders of Jesus directly to the tradition of Moses in the Exodus. In Matthew, we will see that Jesus is identified as the new Moses, who rescues his people, not from slavery in Egypt, but from their slavery to self-centeredness and sin. In Luke 20, the authority of Jesus is questioned once again. Often, we see that the acts themselves or the teaching of Jesus are not what is questioned or comes under scrutiny. Instead, it's the authority by which he teaches, or the authority by which he heals, that is challenged. We will see this strongly highlighted in Matthew's Gospel as well. Also, pay attention to how Jesus uses questions throughout the Gospels. Jesus asks questions not to be evasive, but to reveal underlying issues or hidden motives, as we see here in Luke. Even in our lives, when we ask sincere questions or are asked sincere questions, those questions can reveal truths that we might find uncomfortable or difficult to explore. Asking questions is an art, and one that we can learn from Jesus. And finally, in Luke 20, verse 17, Jesus asks, "But he looked at them and said, 'What then does this text mean? The stone that the builders rejected has become the cornerstone.'" Jesus quotes from Psalm 118, verses 21 through 23. Now, Psalm 118 is one of the Hallel Psalms, or Psalms of Praise. Some scholars believe that this would have been one of the Psalms that the disciples would have sung on the way to Gethsemane. To grasp Jesus' meaning here, we first need to understand the significance of a cornerstone in the first century. Today, we might picture a cornerstone as a large stone decoratively placed in a building's corner. perhaps inscribed with the construction date. However, when Jesus references a cornerstone in this passage, we should picture a keystone, which was used to support an ancient arch. For example, I have included a photo here of an arch found in Palmyra, Syria. At the top of the arch, you can see where the blocks have slipped a bit around the keystone in the center of the arch. These ancient arches were constructed using a frame which was built to support the blocks until the keystone was placed at the top. Once the keystone was in place, the blocks forming the arch would lean in on each other and against the keystone. The keystone was the central block that kept the arch from collapsing, so that when the frame was removed, the arch would stand by itself. Without the keystone, the entire arch would fall in on itself. In this passage, Jesus is saying that He is that keystone. And if that keystone were to fall or be removed, everything it supports would come crashing down as well, and would crush anyone on whom it falls. Jesus is our keystone. He holds our life, His people, and our community together. He is the one we rely upon for our lives, our future, and our hope. Thank you for joining us today. Until next time, stay on the trail.